Hi, listeners. This is Crystal with a quick note about today's episode. This was recorded almost 6 months ago on January 20th, 2020, which is crazy to think about. In the past, when we've recorded the podcast from the very beginning, we have gathered in my living room and batched 4 or 5 episodes at a time. Obviously, we've had to pivot a little bit, just like everyone else with COVID-19 and being in quarantine. So we've been doing weekly episodes. We have been saving this episode. It is a fabulous interview with our wonderful colleague, Ondrya Leavitt, who has been teaching in the district much longer than any of us and has had a really interesting career with lots of twists and turns. Ondrya is a trained musician who began her working life as a scientist for the Salk Institute and has since entered education. She's taught music as a private lessons teacher. She's taught in the general classroom and has gone in and out of being able to teach music. And she has had to kind of ebb and flow with the political tide and the funding challenges that we face here in Southern California. It was so interesting listening to and editing the podcast this week. And I have to admit that it made me nostalgic and even a little sad for our playful banter and our time together, where we got to really laugh and let go with each other. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you travel back to a different time with our past selves this week. And I hope that you walk away with a message of hope from Ondrya's story. She has always landed on her feet, no matter what was thrown at her as a music educator. And I firmly believe that all of us are going to land on our feet as well, even though it feels very uncertain right now. So, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Next week will be our last week releasing a new episode. We have decided that we are going to take care of ourselves over the summer, give ourselves a break, and we highly encourage you to as well. I hope that you are well. I hope that you rest. I hope that you recharge. And there is no more brilliant bunch of people than a bunch of music educators. So I know we're all going to come out of this together. So without further ado, travel back in time with me for our interview with Ondrya Leavitt.
Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal.
I'm Mark.
I'm Zoe.
We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom. We share inspiration, we share struggles, we brainstorm solutions. We would love to have you join us. We are so thrilled to have Ondrya with us today. Hi, Ondrya.
Hello.
Hi. So we've been teaching with Ondrya in the district, but she like beats all of us for longevity. So I'm so excited to hear your story. Ondrya, can you introduce yourself to us?
Okay, well, my name is Ondrya Leavitt, and I spell it with an O. I have been a music teacher since 1989. I graduated in 88, and I started teaching piano in 89. And I actually had a music studio that had about 60 plus students in it, and that's what I did. That was my job. And I did that until around 94.
Okay.
And one of the moms, she goes, "Oh, you teach piano, then you can probably play recorder because you play the flute." And I wasn't teaching flute. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll try it." And so I ended up teaching at an elementary school, and that's kind of how my journey started. So
Okay.
they hired me for a nonprofit that they made, and I taught recorder. And I think I had 30 kids in each. And then I had keyboard. And then I started flute choir. So kind of did that until they ended up hiring me to teach during the day for 2 days a week. And then Chula Vista's like, "Oh, well, we heard about you from so-and-so, and would you be interested in teaching at Where's Lincoln one day a week?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then another school, I think I was Eastlake. Oh, I was in South Bay Union. And at this time was around the later 90s, South Bay Union was the biggest music district. So if you guys weren't aware of that, they were huge. Some donor left, I don't know, like $1.8 million to be used just on music. So every elementary school there had ORF.
Cool.
And all the old guard, I call it, like Margie and all of those people, they were the music teachers of the time in those schools.
Okay.
And so I got hired to work part-time at a school that's no longer there. It's now merged with another school, but it was called Harborview. And it was difficult because I had never been in a classroom before. And that was other than teaching after school, that was the only experience I had. I was going to quit after 2 weeks, and it was horrible. The teachers were not friendly, and they were angry because I took the job and I found this is where the politics starts coming, is that at the time I thought it was great. I just started and I'm like, I'm making $9 an hour. It's so cool. And the teacher before me was making 25. So they were angry at me for taking a job for so little because it was making all of them look bad. But for me, I didn't care. I'm like, it was my first job. So I didn't really care. And so I stuck it out there for 2 years. And from there, my time at Eastlake had grown larger. And I think I was working there almost 4 days a week. And they did say after that point that I would have to get a credential in order to keep being a music teacher, because Chula Vista started moving to the model of release time. And in order to be in a classroom, you had to have a credential. It didn't matter that you had
that you were a special teacher.
It didn't matter. So that's kind of where that brought me there. And I had never said I would ever teach. I told my mother I will never teach. I didn't even go to school for music education. So I went for...
And yet that's what you've always done.
Yeah, well, not always, no.
Not in the classroom, but with your piano studio.
Yeah, but even when I did
that?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I worked from 89 until 99, almost 10 years in biotech.
Okay.
And the only reason I quit is I developed a latex allergy and I had to change careers.
Oh, wow.
So that was the only reason.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a senior research associate for CBS Salk Institute, and I worked for Zytronics, but I always taught piano too, because I believed when I went to college that you could use both sides of your brain, your left and your right. So science and music did that, and so I double majored. And I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do, but I knew I wasn't going to be teaching, and here we are.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's what kind of led me here. And once they told me I had to get my credential, then I thought, well, then why am I going to stay teaching music just 3 days a week when I could be in the classroom full time?
Oh, so that's how you made the shift.
Yes. And all along I was still able to keep the nonprofit going for several years, about 5 years after that. And I was one of the only schools at that time who had band. And remind me, Mark, later to say something about band, because something between Mark and I that was kind of fun that I want to talk about later.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were an ORF teacher, right, at the beginning. Was that when you were in South Bay that you kind of got involved in that community?
Yes.
Okay, with the old guard, as you called them.
Yeah, it was fight or flight. So I had to do something, and I don't remember her name. I know it was Deanna Watson, and she was trying to rescue me because I was sinking. And she just says, the only rules you need to learn is one word, and it's respect. And taught me classroom management based on respect. And it did help, and it really improved. And from her, she's the one who got me more into ORF. But there were two powerhouse teachers there who are now, they probably retired now, but they're clinicians, Patty Day, and I don't remember the other lady's name. But they were kindergarten teachers who were ORF trained too, and really instrumental in... When you say instrumentarium, we're talking like they had 10 basses, 10 altos, 10 of everything. They had the timpanis. They had everything.
And guess who's going to go digging in the South Bay warehouse right now?
I know.
Ready to go down there.
I always wondered what happened to everything. And I'm not sure if it's back into the South Bay Union District or what they did with...
If you want to email us, Zach.
I know, right?
It's like, where is it?
Accepting donations.
Yes. That is so interesting. So you made the switch so that you could get a full-time job and you could come in as a full-time teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, and solidly find your footing.
Didn't know what I was going to do, so I took a kindergarten job.
Okay.
And filled the shoes of someone who at this time went into the district office as the professional for kindergarten. And in kindergarten, they have their own meetings like music teachers do. And so she would present and do in-services. So I had to fill her shoes, which was not very easy to do.
I'm sure, yeah. Gosh.
But I incorporated ORF with kindergarten, and that was great. And after school, I would have almost all the kindergarten in a paid after school class to learn more music.
Wow.
I'm still in shock that you had 60 private
students
Yeah, I
and
know.
it was their career.
Heard of that.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Oh,
And that wasn't your only job. That's what I
On
did.
top of a full-time
Yeah,
job.
it was
being a
like
dentist.
full-time job, and then it was like I taught from, well, in Salk you could make your hours, and I worked in tissue culture, so I would have to get there super early anyway, and I would usually leave there about 2:30, so then I would teach from like 3:30 to 7:30 every day.
Oh my goodness.
Saturdays, like half the day, and yeah, that was crazy.
That's really something.
Yeah.
So I have ended up with some of your old kindergarten materials. They
Oh,
found
really?
their way to me. Yeah, back when I was at Where is Lincoln and had nothing. Somebody came with 2 boxes. One was a box of instruments and one was a box of books. And I'm going through and I'm like, oh, love it. I know who that is. Yeah, so it's interesting just how you've sort of jumped around. So
Yeah.
how long were you a kindergarten teacher?
For 2.5 years.
Okay.
Then it melded to K1, and
Okay.
then it went to 3rd grade.
Okay, so you did it all for a while. And then when did you jump on with the revitalization of music?
That would have been, great question. I was looking at that. I think it's 2016.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
No, you joined my year, 15, I think it was.
Was it
Was it
15?
15?
Yeah, I think it's 15.
15, because
Yeah.
you were before me,
Yeah.
and I came on in 16. So, yeah.
Yeah. I just remember the first music meeting, there was 6 people there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and I think, yeah, there was just, and it was all males. That's all I remember.
Tell me what you remember about that. How did that go
Michael
down?
Gray was there at that meeting. I remember him. I don't remember anybody else. Oh, and Hans. Hans was there too. And then Michael had been ORF trained 1 year, but I went and did some things, and they're like, oh, "What you doing?" So yeah, it was kind of funny running around doing stuff.
How did you find out about the music job and what intrigued you about it? Like, tell me that path.
Oh, that was a fluke.
Okay.
So I was getting very discouraged with teaching, and I was actually going to quit. I was done. I had all my paperwork for Harbor Police back, because that's what I was going to do before. So I had passed all the physical tests, and I was ready to, jump and do that again. And then my friend who worked with you,
yes.
Denise.
I've heard this story.
She's like, yeah, and I was looking at the district, and there's all these art jobs, and I'm like, oh, I'll help you look. So I'm looking, and then I'm seeing music. I'm like, what? What is this? So I kept looking, and I found 4 different jobs that fit me. And so I was like, weighing, should I do this? But I had 3rd graders and, relationships, and it was school had started. This was in October.
Oh.
So I had to make a decision.
Ooh,
what to
mid-year.
do. Yeah. So I met with all 4 of the principals and went to the schools and saw what they had and kind of interviewed them, because I was in the driver's seat at that
Yeah,
point. It's like
yeah.
I could go or I could stay.
Right.
So Hilltop seemed the best fit for me. And the principal, who's no longer there, she's now at our district office, but her name was Lisa, and she was great. And so I decided that would be the best place for me. And it was a very hard decision to make, but once I made the decision, just all of a sudden I thought, even if it's only going to be 3 years, I'm going to do it, because I'm going to quit if I don't. So I thought at least it would give me a respite and, get back into the teaching, because it does drag you down, especially having your own classroom. I mean, if you guys have never been in it, you can't even begin to imagine the stress that those teachers are under. Our stress is 1/8 of what the classroom teacher has. So, I really feel for them when they're getting on me too, because I'm like, okay, I understand.
Yeah, it's good that you can come to it with that compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll bet that they respect you that much more for it, because they know.
They do and they
You know,
don't. And half the
yeah.
time they forget, and then they think that, she's never taught before. I'm like, I've been teaching longer than you.
So when you said that there were 4 jobs that fit you, I'm thinking, was it music? Was it PE? Was it art? Because you can do it all.
Yeah, one was actually PE, and the other 3 were music.
Okay.
Yeah, and 2 were band, and I don't exactly remember the school, but I think one of them was one in Bonita, and that shared 2 schools, and then there was Hilltop, and then there was a string ones. And me and strings, we're not friends.
Yeah.
We're just not. And I firmly believe you're either band or you're strings. I have not met one person who does both really well. So one was strings, and they kept talking me into it, saying, oh, you can learn it. I'm like, no.
Can I brag about you for a little second?
Please do.
Yeah.
So I'm currently sitting next to a professional athlete. She has won many races.
Yeah.
If you walk into her classroom, she has like medals, like so many medals. So what's your current sport that you are pursuing?
Well, I am in multi-sport, so I do the swim, bike, and run, and I've just started doing trail running.
What?
So trail running.
I heard treble.
I
I'm
did
like,
too.
ooh,
Yeah.
a musical
Trail
run.
running, yes,
Oh,
trail running.
She plays her flute while she runs.
And circular breaks.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I'm doing
trail
that,
running.
and then I'm an official. So I'm an official for Ironman, and I'm official for USAT. So the next 3 races I'll be officiating. So I'll be one of those people on the motorcycles
Nice.
that give
Whoa.
penalties, which I have some power. It's
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll do that, and then I'll race 3 races with this organization, and then I'm race all over the place.
So cool.
Wow.
So that's one thing that I admire about you so much is your ability to balance work and then the things that you want to do and the things that bring you joy. Would you mind just talking for a second, like what are the things like that you do to be able to balance that?
I'm really good at time management, and one thing I learned for my master teacher, that's what we called it back in the day. So my master teacher told me never take anything home. Leave everything at work, because nobody cares that you've spent 5 hours after school doing a lesson. Nobody does. And everything that you do, they're going to think that, you spent the time in the classroom anyway. So I've learned to do that. I don't take work home. I think I can count on my hand this many times that I ever in my whole teaching career took work home.
Wow.
And that was when I was teaching 6th grade, and I had to develop math lessons until I learned how to do it quickly. And 3rd grade writing, scoring, I had to do that too. So I think just time management and not bringing work home with me at all. So I'll stay at school longer if I need to, but I'm not going to bring home things to do.
I admire that.
Ooh.
And yet, on day 18 of school, when Lauren needed us to have music groups on the lawn at the board meeting, who was there with her band playing a full band set on day 18 of school?
And they
Andrea.
sounded so
Andrea.
good.
Andrea was.
They sounded great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of.
No, they sounded
sound phenomenal.
fantastic.
Yeah. My students say,
And
how
they
come
were
we can't sound like that?
She got them
Yeah.
there. So, I mean, not only are you good at time management and with your boundaries, but you get an incredible amount of stuff done, and you get it done at a very high level. And I admire it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really set the example there. And so I want to hear from you, because it sounds like you've been through a few iterations of your career. Is that something that you had to learn, and has that developed over time,
For band?
well, just your self-care, I guess, like what has that looked like for you when you were working, for Salk and then teaching all of those piano people? Were you taking care of your physical body and pursuing those things as well, or was it just all work?
At that time, I was, because I worked in La Jolla. So what's out in the front was the Cove. So I would walk every day. I didn't run at that time, but I would walk. As soon as I became a teacher, though, things went whoosh, downhill.
Yeah.
And I think I've shared with most of you at 39, and I don't know how old all you guys are, but at 39, I had a massive heart attack. Almost died, and complete blockage in one of my arteries. And it was due to, again, lack of exercise, not eating right. And a lot of teachers experience things like that because they're sitting for so long. And so when that happened, that really changed my attitude, that like I can't just stay in the classroom and I have to get out. So I started walking during lunchtime, and that led to working in the gym. And so I started doing the gym. I think my Facebook feed's showing 2012. It's like, here's your memory in 2012. I'm like, oh, I was going to the gym then. So yeah, so I started going to the gym, and that was my release. So I'd go to work, I would go to the gym, and then I would come home and teach. And then I started making my private kids less and less and less and less, and realized that my health was worth more than making, whatever I made per lesson. And it's hard when you're starting out because the money's important. We all know that. It's like we need that to survive and to do all those extra fun things, or you have kids and or you just want to buy another bike or something like that. So really the exercise is super, super important, no matter if it's just steps that you're counting or, doing something more physical.
Well, I've really appreciated you like extending that. We were talking a little bit about philosophy, or like you were like, I don't have philosophy, but like you taking care of yourself and you inviting me to go on runs with you. Like I've learned so much on our runs, mostly like, oh, like I can go out and I can have fun. I can just jump in the water and play around. And that's been so awesome. And you also said something when we were running Coronado last time, and you were saying it was the beginning of the school year. You're like, I just spent the day getting all my concerts on the calendar, and I personally did not do that this year, and now I am feeling it. I'm like, oh, I wish I had done what Ondrya told me to do. But I have to learn my own lessons. But thank you.
Yeah, I also want to add on to that. Something I've noticed is that you have a bar of excellence that you always strive for. I remember you taught me once that just even to the point of what you dress really matters. How the kids interact with that, how they see you is something that they should strive for. But also in the same sense, while you still have that excellence, you still extend the hand, just like you did with Zoe. You extended it to me. I was flailing in the water. I'm not a good swimmer by any means. You did not miss out, Zoe, when we did that swim. But I appreciate that. I think that also is telling of what is inside the classroom as well. That you're looking for a bar of excellence, but still extend the hand.
So I do have a high level that I expect, especially in kids with band, and a certain amount of practice, but also at the same time, if they need help, I'm there. So I don't take traditional breaks. So a lot of teachers will take their breaks at the recess and the lunch and that, and I don't do that, because to me that's when the kids can come. And since our job's pretty flexible, on the days I'm not teaching general music, where then the breaks are built in, Mondays and Tuesdays are super, super flexible. And I'll take breaks when there's no one around. So I make sure that I'm available for, every recess, which is a little more dicey at my school because we do every recess separate. It's not like K3, 4, 6.
Oh, really?
Yes, every recess is separate and lunch is separate. It makes it super difficult.
Your sectional schedule makes my head hurt whenever I go to your class, when I say it's like 15 minutes flutes and
and they get it done, and they know if they only have 20 minutes, they need to come with that instrument ready, set up in 1 minute, and boom, we just go. So and I keep a grid, and the grid has everyone's name in it, and I put a dot for as long as they spend at least 10 minutes in my room. So if they come in during their recess or after school or before school, as long as it's at least 10 minutes, I'll give them a dot. And then we have prizes per sectional, and this year I analyzed it and showed them, this is the average, and this section won the average, and this is the bar that you all need to be for this year. So they know for next quarter they have to be there an average of 25 times.
When does your band meet?
We meet Mondays for advanced, and Tuesdays for beginning, and Fridays for advanced again.
During the day or after school?
I actually start them at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And it's a soft start, but we actually start at 8:30 when school starts.
Oh, okay.
And it goes till 9:20. But a lot of the teachers don't let them out on time. And so to gain that time, I started at 8 o'clock. And this way I'm guaranteed to have them at least half an hour uninterrupted. And then if I get them a little later, at least I've had an hour. So it works.
Yeah.
And we do sectionals on Wednesday and Thursday, and those work out really well. Flute choir on Mondays and Wednesdays after school.
So are you not tied to release time or collaboration?
Just on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for kindergarten.
Okay, because your schedule is a lot different.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different than probably all of yours.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But it works at your school, because I had a chance to work with Doug, who is also on. I would love to do a crossover episode with Heather Cruz, the district PE, because they have a podcast, and Doug does a podcast with Heather.
And Doug and I worked together, and we did musical things and PE things together.
Yes, and we were planning on doing this. So
and they're great.
Yeah,
that's so fun.
Yeah,
good. Do you have a story that sticks out from your teaching that you want to share? I love it when you post you playing flute with the kids. No.
Say it again.
I said I love it when you post videos of you playing with your kids. You're just you're a hands-on teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything that sticks out. If it does, I'll...
Okay. We can come back to
So
that if you
then
think of something.
earlier, John had mentioned the way that you dress. And you always have
But
just...
what am I wearing today?
You still look good.
You still look
You look so good.
You still look better than all of us.
You do still have a flower in your hair.
Yeah.
I literally own one pair of jeans, and I have 2 pairs of leggings now. But I generally do not wear pants to
She's
school.
a dress
Sure.
girl.
Yeah, I
So
just do
would
it.
you mind just kind of
It's not
explaining
religious.
to me and our listeners just like why did you adopt that way to dress and how you present yourself and just kind of your method behind that?
I think it has to do when I was first a student teacher, and I was at Eastlake, and I saw a teacher outside for recess duty, and what she wore just appalled me. She was wearing leggings that showed everything, that with some little short skimpy thing and her boobs falling out, and it was embarrassing. It was just embarrassing for me to see, oh my gosh, you know, this is what you are showing to everyone. This is what a teacher should wear. Or teachers wearing just dumpy shorts and oversized. It's almost like they didn't care. And to me, I never wanted to portray that. And I don't want kids thinking, oh, when I get to be a teacher, I can be a slob. And I'm not saying that all teachers are like that, but that's what I experienced when I was at my first school that year. And there was a lot of young teachers there, and just thought, you know, messy bun and this, you know, I'm gonna wear my pajama pants was cool. And I just never thought that was. And so I really wanted to not portray that. And so, okay, there is a story. Because of the way I dress, I had a student one time, we were saying what they wanted to be when they grew up, and she put a teacher, and then she drew, I had this really silky blouse that I still have, and she's like, if you're a teacher, you get to wear, and then she drew my beautiful blue silky blouse and the flower, and so she drew me, and I thought that was really sweet.
That is really sweet. She's always in a cute dress with a flower in her hair.
Yeah.
I love it.
And the flower thing wasn't always there. It was always, I used to wear a bow, like a headband with a bow. I don't know. And then I kind of grew out of that, but I had really super long hair, and then I cut it, and it's actually natural curly, and I straighten it, like today I straightened it. So it looked good that way, but now that I have it differently, I like to put the barrettes in, and then it used to always be barrettes, and my niece, Amanda, who she owns a clothing company, she would always put a little flower in her hair, and then I thought, I like that. And she's my mini-me, so I started doing the flower.
Sure.
That's
And
awesome.
that was kind of in tribute to my niece, who's really super successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was going to be a teacher. She got her credential. She was an awesome teacher. She was in youth symphony. She was great. And after 2 years, she's like, Yeah, and I know we were talking about this, about longevity and trying to keep teachers in, and how, you know, some stay in, some don't. For her, it was the right thing. She made 6 figures the first year out of being a teacher.
Whoa.
You know, and
for her.
sometimes that's attractive.
Yeah.
I
Chaotic Harmony, stop. Well,
I wonder.
I've got IT jobs.
I've certainly asked those questions. You know, but to me, it comes down to where can I make the biggest dent in the world? And right now, the answer is in my music room. So that's
I would agree.
But that's that's another topic for another day. I did want to hear a little bit more from you about watching music programs shutter, because there have been a couple of starts and stops all over San Diego County during your teaching tenure, and you have some crazy stories that you've shared with us about instruments and watching programs close. So can you talk about that?
Yeah.
And Mark has to remind you about bands.
Yeah, don't even forget, because that has to do with the story too.
great.
So, well, like I already told you about South Bay Union, how they had this great music program, and then things changed around, I think it was about 99, so going into the year 2000, and they shifted their focus. It started more of the Common Core, but it was before Common Core. It was standards-based. It's all the same. It just calls it different names.
Right.
But they started shifting towards that and getting more out to take away the music and those electives and things. So South Bay, I'm not really sure how they shut down and what they did with their instruments. But since I wanted to continue doing band, and where I was on the east side, and who's on the east side? Are we all on the west side?
Kind of east, barely east.
Kind of middle. So they were all expected to buy their own instruments or rent their own instruments. And so they did that. And then I started getting some. In Eastlake, they started having Section 8 housing. So even though it missed the really nice homes, they still had Section 8. So those kids came and didn't have the same opportunity. So I'm scrounging, trying to find instruments. And my husband works at the district, and he goes, oh my God, they are throwing away instruments, and they have a crate going to TJ, and they're giving it, and they're going to put them in surplus for $100 for this whole box. So I went digging around in my dress. And I was basically in their scaffolds. If you've been in the warehouse, you'll see they're just huge scaffolds full of things. And I think I was on the second scaffold, and I'm just going through instruments.
Oh my gosh.
And I think I had pilfered about 40 string instruments. I couldn't store string basses and the big, huge standing basses. Those went bye-bye to TJ.
God, it just kills me.
Yeah. And I got as many band instruments as I could do, but I took only the ones that I knew I could teach. So like all the big type horns and a lot of the percussion at that time, there's timpanis. I wasn't comfortable with all that, and I just let that go. So
Motor sounds.
Yeah. So we had purchased that for $100.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Stored it up in our rafters.
And here we are just
Scrounging.
Scrounging for instruments and materials, and they were just thrown away.
So I kept the
it's
strings
so
as
sad.
long as I could.
Yeah.
And I finally ended up giving them to the Bonnells, who are a phenomenal family of string players. And they placed them in the hands of children that needed them.
Good.
And then Sandra has some.
Yeah,
so
and she said
Yeah.
those are the favorites
Yeah.
at her school.
And I found some more in my rafters, so she'll probably be getting some more.
Tips.
Yeah.
Wow.
And even Lauren had just came across some that she literally was getting out of a dumpster from, I want to say it's Poway. So, yeah, people don't know the value of instruments.
No.
So it's crazy.
Yeah, I just got myself a cello off Donor Shoes. It was over $1,000. Yeah.
Wow.
And here they were shipping them off to TJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What was the story with Mark?
Band.
So, band. Yes, band. Okay, so when you guys asked, have I always been doing this? Well, band, I told you developed. Well, I don't know if I told you it was developed from recorder. So they're like, well, you play recorder, and our band teacher, he's leaving. And that teacher taught in Poway, because Poway was a big place.
Right.
And he would come to Eastlake and teach Monday and Wednesday in the morning, like at 7 to 8 in the morning, and then go and do his teaching job. And he couldn't do it anymore. So I'm like, sure, I can do it. And all I ever played was flute. So I taught myself how to play the sax. I taught myself how to play the clarinet. I didn't really know how to play the trumpet or the trombone. I bet you Mark can tell what happened when he got my students that one year for camp.
Oh.
They played really proficient,
Yeah,
but
they held it the wrong, they held it the wrong way. I don't remember what they did, but
the hands were totally opposite.
yes, so the left hand was using the valves and the right hand was on the bottom.
Oh, wow.
And I saw these kids and I'm like, what? And so I was like, no, you switch. I'm like, no, but my teacher says this. And I'm like, well, I'm teaching right now. And I say
Do
this.
what I say.
Right. But they were proficient. They had a nice embouchure, they had a good sound. It was just the hands were on the wrong side. Yeah.
So he had to teach me, and then I'm like, okay, let me take some pictures because
Yeah.
I won't remember.
Yeah. Well, and then I remember one of them ran up to you at the little performance we had at the end of the week. And Miss Leavitt, look, this is how we hold our instrument.
I'm like,
Yeah.
let me take a picture of that.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's funny.
So that's
man.
a great story.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
gosh, they were proficient. Like they caught on. They knew all. Like everything was great. It just left hand was no. You don't push
How do
the
you
other
do
one.
that?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's funny.
Oh,
Yes.
those humbling moments. I'm still waiting for somebody to come back from middle school and be like, Miss Pridmore, I learned how to hold my violin correctly. Yeah. It's, isn't it funny that you get yourself a teaching credential with music and all of a sudden you can magically teach orchestra, band, and choir
gosh.
K to 12 and boom, you're an expert in all of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, again, that's another topic for another day.
Yep.
Exactly.
Andrea was one of the ones to introduce all of us to ORF.
That's true.
And to the way that we structure.
Yes, and I still remember that first kind of like ORF demo lesson that you did with Michael at one of our...
I still refer to those notes all the time.
Awesome notes, as you always do. You always do awesome notes. But it was the first time you brought your parachute, and we were just like
we had so much
galloping
fun.
around. It was so fun.
Yep.
So yeah, you were the one that was like, you need to come to the workshops. Like you're gonna learn so much from the workshops. And I was so hesitant. I was like, oh, I don't know.
But it's a Saturday. We're tired. Yeah.
That was another thing, because I mentioned this on the podcast before, but like my connection towards ORF was when I was doing elementary music methods in college. And, it's all conflated when you mix in like ORF and also Mason Lowell with like all the way back in 1800s. It's like, and so like I had a perception that ORF is old. It's meant for us like a very old demographic. And then you came in with Michael and showing us that stuff. I was like, okay, this is doable.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if I would have joined STOSA if it wasn't for you and Michael, but appreciate that.
I just remember resisting too. So I was at the same point when they're like, you got to go to these classes. And I went, and I'm like, how's this going to teach them notation?
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't agree with everything. And I don't think all of us do. I mean, there's things that you're going to pull from different places.
Right.
Absolutely.
And there's still some ways that I do differently. But I just remember going, oh, I'll never do that. And then I'm like, now I can understand a little more. And the more ORF levels that you take, and I was very fortunate to take with Randy and Jeff, who are now they're retired, but they're clinicians and presenters and have done the game plan and just thousands of things. So having their perspective and the way they played and the way they structured, and Randy especially was like real musician like trained. He could play the piano like nobody's business. So we really related well together, and taking the levels with him, I understood a lot more. So, when I took it again with you guys, it was like, oh, and it's just like solidifies, and now I just need more stuff.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are we ready?
Let's play.
Yeah. Oh, but
First, we do a hard left turn. We're going left again.
Perfect.
All our viewers, thank you so much for listening and watching. It's helped us. And it's been really cool to hear from people across the country just reach out and saying, oh, yeah, the podcast people. it's really weird, but it's awesome. And we've gotten your comments, your messages. We appreciate it. And like, if you have any questions, please send it our way. But what will really help our community grow a lot is if you send us a review. Go on iTunes, send us, any star you want, as long as it's honest. 5 is preferred, obviously. Like, that's actually probably the right
Obviously,
choice.
yeah.
But
just do that.
You know what? We appreciate the honesty, and it, not only that, but it helps our visibility to make sure that this community is still alive. So please make sure you send us a review. And if you have any questions or something to share, you can always email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com.
All right, we're back with Spiccato after the break.
I want to take a quick break and thank my husband, Bryan, who's been working behind the scenes producing these episodes every week on all of the platforms and on time. But you need to know that he is first a financial planner for Mission Trails Financial. Mission Trails Financial is a partner that seeks to guide clients in the journey to financial success. They believe that people need a financial advisor that aims to provide strategies for success. Mission Trails Financial helps people navigate investments, tax planning, and insurance. Imagine working with an advisor who isn't tied to specific brands. Mission Trails Financial has a fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of their clients by providing independent, objective advice. Their mission is to help clients accomplish their financial goals. As Joe Vitale once said, a goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. Do yourself a favor and set up a time to chat with Mission Trails Financial. Visit www.missiontrailsfinancial.com or call 619-419-0238 to schedule a call. You'll be glad you did. We believe that leaning on professionals is how we get ahead. Check out the program notes for more information.
Andrea has a Spiccato. What is this?
Well, first I'll pass it around. See if we can figure out what it is.
Is this for a necklace?
Or earrings. Or earring.
Earring. It's like half a teacup glued to a plate.
Yeah.
Yep. but it's tiny,
Super tiny.
like the size of a silver dollar.
It has a string.
Has a string.
It has a string.
Okay.
Oh.
Is it a game?
No.
Is it to like?
Was
Slingshot?
attached to this. Okay.
Interesting.
What's this?
I have no idea.
Is that the
A
ticket
curtain
It looks
pole?
like this.
Yes, it's
Oh, it's a fan pole.
or a fan pole.
Okay,
This
I
is
see,
from
I see.
probably the 1940s,
Okay.
and that's exactly what it is. It's a
Oh,
fan pole
it's a fan pole.
or a curtain pole.
Wow.
Cool.
So I'm
Wow.
really into antiques, and at one time I sought these out and found them in all different places, and they're all over my house in different places and hanging from the ceiling
the fan?
fans. And
Okay.
now they don't hang from these anymore because we got new blinds, and now it's a little twist thing.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
I had to take them
Huh.
out. So you said bring a small object. There
That
it
is a small object.
Wow.
It's very small.
Okay. How would we use this in music class?
It's a little teacup.
Do they come in lots of different shapes, I imagine?
Oh yes, and you can
Yeah.
find them in animals. I have some that are dogs, ladies, baskets.
It's pretty dense.
So I'm thinking you could get a bunch of them and have them in a basket, and then that's your inspiration for coming up with a movement piece. Like if somebody gets the teacup, then you're having a tea party, or a dog, then you're, dogs playing together or going for a walk or something. So that's my thought.
I have one of my orchestras. They love just socializing, and so I'm always trying to figure out ways to have them do like little community builders. Where I'll be like, okay, now you get to talk, and then it's over, right? So yeah, you could have these, and then in a basket. I liked that, and then you pick one, and then you share like what it makes you think of.
I'm thinking an arioso activity too, in a basket. So it could be something they sing about.
Like that you make up, or yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like things that,
John John's pass.
I'm still processing.
like things that they see, and they could like chant qualities or things that they, just what they see.
Like a word chain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love word chains. Word
Yeah.
chains are the freaking best.
You said you collect. This is. You don't have a bunch of plate with cups, are they? Or
I have several, but
So-
not that many. And I mean, each one of these is, if you find it in an antique store, it's going to cost you probably about $10-15.
but are they all
wow.
plates with cups kind of thing?
Some of
or-
them are, but they're
Okay.
not all the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have all different types.
Oh,
I think if you had a
interesting.
whole selection of them, and then similarly the whole movement, but like use your body to shape it such. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a thing that I did not know existed until
Yeah.
now. So I thank you for expanding my world.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Right on. And then we have a round, yes?
You do.
Now we get to sing.
Round of the week. What's our round of the week?
Well, I really liked that one.
Here I sit and wait for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I like that one too.
Cool.
So before we get into this, I think we should tell the story about how this was this was our very first. Why are we laughing so hard?
Good. We know it's
Oh, okay. This was our very first introduction to Orff levels. And so we were all sitting in the back of the room in two rows of
Yes.
chairs with pencils
ready
poised,
to learn with our pencils.
ready to learn and write down in our notebooks.
Yes.
And Dave Thaxton, hi Dave,
Hey, Dave.
is barefoot and crisscross in the center of the floor. And he just looks at us and sings, "Here I sit and wait for you, 'neath the spreading branches. Cool the grass with shade and dew, sunlight round me dances. High, lily, high, lee, high, low, now my voice is ringing. High, lily, high, lee, high, low, songs to you I'm singing." And we're just staring at him and we're like, what do we do?
Who dis?
Who did? And he just holds up his hands and beckons, divides us into two. So, shall we?
Yay.
Yes. 2, 3, 2. Let's do 2.
Two, girls
Sure.
against boys. Girls first. Here I sit and wait for you, 'neath the spreading branches. Cool the grass with shade and dew, sunlight round me dances. Hi, Lily, hello, now my voice is ringing. Hi, Lily, hello, sunlight round me dances.
Hi, Lily, hi, lo. Now my voice is ringing. Hi, Lily, hi, lo. Songs to you I'm singing.
Lovely. Yay.
Hey.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yay.
Andrea,
Yes.
is there a place where people can message you via social media and such?
Twitter.
Okay, let's see. Instagram, I'm Ondrya1,
Yeah, you are.
and everything is like usually has to do with my sport, so it's kind of boring to follow.
Oh, I'm sure people will be interested as well. I'm
And
interested.
every now and then I'll put music things on that, but that's primarily for that. And Twitter, I believe, is Ondrya1.
Yep.
Also,
Yep.
As a reminder,
Ondrya,
it's-
OND.
RYA.
One.
And then Facebook is Ondrya.Leavitt.
There you go.
Zoe?
You can find me at Ms. Kumagai.
You can find me at Finny Vappa on Twitter.
You can find me at Mr. Keehmer.
You can find me at Mr. Seligman, MRSELIGMAN on either Twitter or Instagram.
Who dis?
Also, you can find us at Chaotic Harmony at CH Classroom on either the Twitters or the Instas or the Facebooks. Thanks, guys.
Yay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore, Jonathan Seligman, Zoe Kumagai, and Marc Keehmer. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Bryan Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
They barely fit in my ears.
I got really small ear.
Easy weezy.
Okay.
The itsy bitsy earbuds.
It's like in my face.
Hola.
Do not fit in your ears.